Today we're going to focus on one of the premier pieces of software that's out on the market called LibreOffice. The definition for free is that the software is free for you to use without any monetary it's free for you to see the development so that you can see what the code is for it. It is free for you to modify. That if you want to make some changes, like you would modify a recipe that somebody gave you. And it's free so that you get to redistribute it or send it back out to anybody that you want to. So that's kind of free software, and we celebrate that in September. I first came across what is now called LibreOffice back almost before the 2000. It was first a program called Star Writer, owned by a company called Star Division. It was a paid program at that time. In 1999, Star Office was now owned by Sun Microsystems, and it became a program that was free for home use and only cost $10 to buy the media to install it. I used this program at the middle school where I was technology coordinator, and I purchased the $10 disc, and then I was able to install it on over 200 machines at no additional cost. In 2000, it became totally open source project and then was renamed OpenOffice. It was still owned by Sun Microsystems. And so after 2000, all of the upgrades went to OpenOffice with no longer a $10 media fee. So anybody or any educational venue could use it at no cost. In 2010, Oracle Corporation bought Sun Microsystems. And at that time, concerns developed because they weren't too keen on the open source system of software, and the developers weren't quite sure where things were headed. So later that year, all of those people who were developers of the project all left Oracle and became a part of the Document Foundation and forked the project into LibreOffice. And LibreOffice is Spanish word for free, so it's still a free office. And then in 2011, when Oracle saw that that wasn't going to really be any kind of profitable activity because of the free LibreOffice being out, they sold the project to the Apache Foundation, who then helped develop it into a running program. However, within the next few years, they just weren't able to keep up with the activities that were going on at LibreOffice. And it was very interesting that somehow in the contract of things, if the people at Apache OpenOffice developed anything for OpenOffice, the LibreOffice people got that no hands, or no ifs, ands, or buts, and they could then use it. However, the reverse wasn't there for some reason. If LibreOffice created something and put something into LibreOffice, they didn't have to give it to the OpenOffice development team. So by now, OpenOffice is still there, but is not as popular or used. Almost all of the Linux distributions have opted to go with LibreOffice as the default Office suite. LibreOffice is cross-platformed, which means it's also available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, so it is interchangeable that way. And as you can see, a couple years ago, there were over 120 million downloads just with Windows and Mac users, and Linux users 55 million. So it is quite the popular free software for an Office suite with the complete packages. There are two versions of LibreOffice that are nearly identical. The fresh version would be the one that gets all of the new features first. And it's sort of like the trial one. It's good software, the stuff is right, but there might still be a little few bugs that might be peeking up in it. And so they have a still version, which is more of a long-term, slow to add new things until they really know it's not going to cause any problems. The still is what people in enterprise, schools, businesses would use, because they don't want any surprises that would pop up. And if you're a conservative user and you don't like surprises, then you would use it. And it's the full program. There's nothing held back. It's just that it doesn't get the new features first. That goes to fresh. So if you're a technology enthusiast and then you like the things, I want it when it comes out, I want to see it right away, then that version's for you. They've done an interesting way to code it. As you can see, the first number is always the version, and both are the same version. But if it's the fresh version, the second number is an even number, and the still version is the odd. So if you want still, you want whatever X odd number it is, and the one I use, the fresh, would be the even. Then always during development, there's always small changes. The newest versions just came out. I'm running the 5.4.2, and then the still is at 5.7.3. When they come ready for the total new version, everything will move to 6, and then the still will become 6 even numbers, and the fresh will become 6 even numbers, and the still will become 6 odd numbers. I haven't really found any problems with using the fresh version, but there's always that little statement that says, yep, we might have a little problem, but we're not going to worry about it too much. The Office suite is composed of the same kinds of subprograms as the paid version by the major company. It includes all of the components that you see, although they use different names, and to me it makes some of them make more sense. That the word processing program is Writer, and your spreadsheet, which does all those math manipulations, is the Calc program. And when you're trying to create a program or a presentation, you're trying to impress people. They have a graphics program that really is, that Microsoft doesn't have a component equal to that, but I guess you would call it the old Paint, but the Draw program has a lot of extra features. They include a database called Base. It is not the same as Access, because that is the very huge, complex one. This database would be just a database that most people would want to use. And then an interesting thing for somebody who's into math and science, where you're having to develop and create formulas that you want to add into documents of some sort, they have a program called Math that will do stuff that I don't do, but some of you might be doing that. So we're going to be taking a look at most of these and see the features that they have in common and what makes them a little bit different. We're going to start our tour with what I call the lobby. This is a sub-program that I hadn't used a lot before. I just went to the program one to use until I kind of saw how they've developed it. And so we're going to start there, and then we will branch off to the other areas. So I'm going to get out of my slideshow, and we will go into the lobby. The lobby really is a good starting point for whatever you're going to do. As you can see, on the left-hand side, I can go directly to a file. I can go down to any of the programs and start creating something new. They also let me have a view of my recent files. And you can see there's about 10 of them listed. And we can even scroll down, and there's a whole bunch. So you have access to recent files. Or if you click the new typical Explorer window, will open up and let you go find the file that you want. One unique thing that I didn't realize until recently, since I wasn't using the lobby, I call it, is that there is an option to go to remote files. What this does is let me, and give me a second here. And that's for you people writing it down, ... This gives me direct access to my Google Drive. And so I can open up anything on my computer or Google Drive directly from this lobby. And of course, as we teach in computers, there's always more than one way to do something. I could go to Google Drive first and then have something open up, and it'll work. But this I thought was kind of neat. Now I will have to admit that I'm having trouble because it'll also connect to OneDrive, and it keeps telling me that the device is invalid, and I'm trying to search that down, and I don't understand that because I'm on a Windows 10 computer with a Windows drive already installed on my computer, but it will not connect to it, but it's supposed to. But I think that's a pretty good feature, so that I can actually access any file that I want to get. We also have templates that come with LibreOffice, and I can come here and get samples of different kinds of files from all the different programs, and start with something and then modify it as I need. And you can go out and get more templates from web sources and add that back in. We also have wizards that will guide you through creating your documents and your presentations, much the same way that a template will do, only it starts at very basic and then adds through it. We'll go ahead and start with Writer, the word processing program. The first thing that you will notice is that this still uses the traditional menu. It does not use the Microsoft's ribbon. Their research or their feedback is that most of the people who use LibreOffice like the traditional ribbon. So traditional menus. So that's what you see. So you have the menus across the top, and then you have greatly customizable toolbars. And this is just the default one. I haven't made any changes to it, but this is there. You can add additional rows of toolbars, all depending on what kind of work you're doing. And it's so customizable that you can remove anything that's on here that you don't use, replace it with what you do. As an example, I sometimes add an extra icon for printing, so that instead of doing a direct print, I can call up the icon that says open the print menu, and then I can do the dialog box and select a different printer, or make changes to what I'm printing. So you can make all those different kind of changes. It has all the different fonts that you would want, more than you would ever need probably. Now, one difference that I know of between the Windows version and Linux version is that there's a different team that designs icons. And so the graphical icons that you see on these toolbars, the exact same tool is on the Linux screen, but they may have used a little bit of a different color or whatever. No big deal. It's because in open source, you're free to change it however you want. One of the big new features that came out probably with 5 or the last part of 4 is this pop-out that you see at the side. And with this, you almost don't need your toolbars at the top. And some people don't like to give up all that real estate on their screen. And this one is visible when you want it and gone when you don't want it. A lot of people, that's why they didn't know it's there, because they never really saw that side little button that you can click. But notice on this one, this is where you have all your fonts and the things that go with that, your paragraph, your spacings, all of that right here together, which makes it really easy to do those editing. You can also go to a thing where you have your page where you can adjust all the formatting of that area. You can also go to your text and get all of your fonts and styles and everything right here. You can also go to a gallery where you have folders of pictures. I will tell you that this gallery is not as extensive as it used to be. I can remember downloading for OpenOffice a huge file with lots and lots of graphics. But what has been discovered over the years is more and more people just go out to the internet and get what they want rather than being limited to what's here. So sometimes they don't even add a gallery, but here we have a good starting selection that you can go out and get. And then after that, you end up with a navigation for your different area on your reports and stuff. So this is a tremendous feature that is just within a click away from what you need. If I can get my mouse there. There we go. Out. We will see this a number of times because LibreOffice and OpenOffice are an integrated suite. This will be common, but with different things when we see them on the different programs. When you look at the offers for LibreOffice, it does, for me, everything I would possibly want in a word processor. I cannot guarantee that it does everything that Microsoft Word does because I'm not a Word user, but from my years of using LibreOffice and OpenOffice, I haven't been wanting something to do or wanting to do something that I couldn't. But that's not saying that there is. And so my philosophy as free, John, is that try it because it's free, doesn't cost you. And if you find out that it doesn't do something that you need to do, then go out and buy the product that does, and be willing to accept the fact that the money you're paying is just for the feature that you needed, because outside of that feature, the free program has everything that you need. This program does the everything. It does tables. Somebody asked, you can create the tables and have that. You can add images. If we go to insert, we can insert images from your files. We can insert charts. You have to put in some of the data for the chart, but that's what you use a spreadsheet for, is to put the data in, then create that. You can add text boxes even on a text page, hyperlinks to make live web links in your documents. You got the special formatting. Can you do envelopes? If we go to new, and we can do the labels, and there is envelopes somewhere. You know, that's more dealing with your dealing with your there we go, down at the bottom. There it is. So you can do your envelopes. You just have to kind of fill out the blank and what size of envelope you have, and then put it together, dress and back. So yep, does the envelopes too, does the labeling. Like I said, it just does about everything I ever need, and no one has ever really come out and said, well, here's what it can't do. And like I said, whatever it can't do is probably something I don't need. You've got the spelling, you got the thesaurus, you can do bibliography databases, you can mail merge. It's just, it's all out there. So you can do all the things, with your fonts and save it. Now, the one big thing that was key for me years ago with LibreOffice is one of the things that it can do. Well, let's see, the first thing, when you go to save something, LibreOffice will allow you to save in a bunch of different formats. As you can see down here at the bottom, I can save this as any kind of Word document going clear back to 97, HTML document, back to a text document. So if I have somebody who's using Microsoft Word, I can then send them this as a Word document. LibreOffice will read all of the Microsoft formats, and they have from the beginning. In fact, it was really interesting that I think it was back in 2003 when the new Office came out, or the next one after 3, it could not read the newer one without having a conversion extension added to it. And immediately, LibreOffice without that could open it. So when I had people who said, I've got a Word file and I can't open it because it's coming from the new version, I could pop it in and open it for them and convert it back to their version. So it will save in most of the popular ones that you want. Open text document is a world standard, and quite a lot of the word processing programs use that. I do understand that Microsoft is now allowing, because it was their choice, for Word to be able to open up open document files. For a while they wouldn't. The other thing that is special for LibreOffice, and we'll look down here, and there is an export as a PDF. I can remember way back before I found StarOffice, OpenOffice, LibreOffice, that if you wanted to make a PDF, that you had to have a PDF program that would convert whatever document or file type that you were making into a PDF. But LibreOffice, from the very beginning in OpenOffice, can convert every file that it has, whether it's a document or a presentation. The presentation that I created with Impress was sent to Judy Toulour, and I sent it as a open document presentation, a Microsoft Word, PDF file, and as a PDF file, because it can do all of those right from here. So it has, you know, everything that I can imagine that you do with a word processor. It's here. I'm going to go back to the lobby, and we're going to take a look at Impress. And to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and open the presentation that I was running, just to have something there instead of a blank. Because I want you to be able to see that when you look at it, it looks like a typical presentation program. Now, we do have some presentation programs up in the cloud. Both Google and Microsoft have their cloud versions, which are not the high end with all the big bells and whistles. LibreOffice had thought about moving into the clouds, but they kind of said, why add a third one? We already have two up there. A lot of people like to have their programs on the computer, so they dropped that plan and just kept the one on here. But as you can see, if you've done PowerPoints, this has the same features. On the left show the slides I've made, the main one that I'm working on right in the middle, and then I want to direct your attention to the right, and you'll see that same pop out. I'll hide it again, that we had, and this one then would have the features and the settings, you know, that would pertain to your presentation. And the one big thing over here is on the slides. This is where you can easily find how to change the format. We use the 16:9 for our presentations because most of us have widescreen monitors. But you can go back to the old 4:3 if you need to present to your club where you're pretty much your projector screen is more or less square. So you have all of that. You can see at the bottom that we have all of the major options for slide types. Somebody might say, well, I think there's more in another program. Well, if you start with a blank one, you can create whatever you want, you know, your own personal one. So those are the most common that people use. Then if I move down, you'll see that here we have all of our transitions, and it's in a very easy to find place, and we can modify those down through here. If we go to our next button, here is where once you have items on your page, then you can animate those. I've gotten away from that because when I was teaching middle school computers, the kids wanted to put everything into animation, and they would always love to do the text enter as single letters with a big sound to it. And so you'd be sitting there watching next, and so I try to teach the kids that less is better. And the people who watch presentations don't like all that extra stuff going on. They pretty much want to see what you have to say and hear you say it. But you can. And so you have all those animation, the effects that you can do. So there's more that I could have done to a presentation, but I like to keep it simple. You can also have your master page where you can see what theme you want to use. Again, there's also the access to your text, but it's going to be a little bit different because of doing it in a presentation. You have less choices than you would in a big word processing. There's the same gallery that you can have access to, and then you've got the navigation to all of your slides. I usually keep it on that one. Also, with the presentation program, you have the option of viewing it in many different ways. That's the normal view. If you want to see it in just an outline, it will come up, supposed to be, with the written part, but see, I didn't make this with an outline, so it doesn't come up that way. You can view it. Oh, it's trying to. There we go. In the notes, and this is where you can have your slide that what people see, and then you can write notes that people won't see, so you know what you're wanting to talk on it. And then you also have your slide sorter, which means that you can rearrange, just like you'd stick them on a cork board. And this is really helpful when you decide you want to change the order of some things. So just as you can with almost any other presentation program, you can do it here. Again, with your toolbars, customize all those. You just go to the customization and you pick and choose what icons or tile you see up there, and you go with that. Sorry about that, because of, get out of the way. You have tools, again, for your spelling check and all of that. One of the things I like about the LibreOffice Impress is that you can do two different things. You can have keyboard shortcuts to start your presentations, but if you right-click the icon on your desktop, you have option to open Impress, or you can immediately just click Show, and up pops your presentation without having to come to this screen first and then to click that. And you've got the option. The question came up with the spelling. Yep, F7 is the spelling, and Shift F7 is an automatic spell checking on that. So that has that on there, and you can insert all the normal stuff. You can insert images, you can insert the audio, video files, you can insert charts that you get, insert a table, put a text box in there like what's mostly on here, add live hyperlinks, and again, I have to mention all this comes free. If we move to the back to the lobby, move to the Calc program, which is the spreadsheet. If you've used spreadsheets, it does everything. You've got all the same toolbars across the top, only some icons have been changed for what you need for doing a spreadsheet that you wouldn't need in a word processor or in a presentation. But again, there's the pop-out that has all the tools right at your fingertips. When I found this, I thought this was really great. I don't have to go up to the menus and look for stuff. It's right there. Somebody might say, well, this is a LibreOffice version of a ribbon. It's just a pop-out box, but it really works. So here's all of your parts for your characters that when you're typing. If you scroll down, there's all your alignment when you need to justify your boxes in there. But of course, if you're a spreadsheet person, you know that you format for text and money, and it goes to left, right, like it's supposed to. If I click on the T for text, again, here are the choices that you have for formatting your text that you had. And again, there's the same gallery that's found with all of them. And there's the navigation, and the one that's added extra is your function, and everybody kind of asks about that, if you make a spreadsheet do what it does. When I taught and when I teach adults, I said there are more of these functions that I ever have any idea what they are. And so you can see that the most common ones are the sum and average, but you can go down here, and if I click on all, you can see as I'm scrolling down through here, there are hundreds and hundreds of formulas that you can do in your spreadsheet. So go to it. I've been asked whether or not the program could do something. I'm trying to think now. I found it because somebody said that was new. Under your data, it does all this typical things of sorting up and down. You got all of your formatting for your sheets that you can do for making multiple places for it. Your formatting for all of that. I'm trying to find. Oh yeah, here it is. I don't really understand it, but the newest thing that they've added is this pivot table. And so somebody said that that was something that it couldn't do before, that the other company could do. Now there's a pivot table in there. So you can do all of that stuff on that. With the printing out, it lets you go to your page break so you can see exactly where your print would be, so you can adjust that so that it doesn't cut off something in between. And again, I didn't show it to you on the Impress, but it was there. If I have a spreadsheet, I can convert it into a PDF. I can also, when I save this, instead of saving it as an open document format, I can choose to save it as an Excel, and all the way back to 97 and clear up to 2013, the last time that they changed to the XL SX format. One thing that I didn't say on the other side with opening, when you open up a file, this was where it really gets to being wild. These are all the file types that LibreOffice can open. And the one big thing that was something unusual, we had troubles years ago trying to open good old-fashioned works files, because even Word had trouble doing that. And we found out that LibreOffice had the option to open up works. And you can see down here, I can even open up a works file that was created for Mac. And so you go down through all these, some of these will bring back memories when you go back and say, well, I remember that one. There's the old Lotus one, Quattro Pro. And you can open up any file, and then LibreOffice knows which program has to open up to it. But this is part of the beauty of LibreOffice, is it can open up about any kind of program. And it can open up, I'm just looking right here and seeing that it can open up Kodak files, which on a CD, a lot of times you put in a CD, if you don't have the Kodak software, you can't see what's on that CD. We can do it here. So that's a real feature of LibreOffice, in that it opens just about any file out there. With the LibreOffice, of course, you can always create any kind of charts that you want. Format, let's see. I don't want to export that one. Part of the computer says, hey, you don't have any charts to make. You can insert the charts, but you can make, I don't know how many different kinds. The last time I was teaching that we could make. So all the normal charts that you can make, just put the information in the spreadsheet that you have to, and then within seconds, you can produce a quality chart. My students hated me because I used to make them create the pie charts the old way with paper, pencil, and protractors and compasses, and use all the math that they had to do. And then I would show them power of the spreadsheet, put the numbers you want in there, highlight, and say, make a pie chart, and boom, it converted it to do all of that. Can't think of quite anything else on that. I'm going to jump back to the draw program, because this one was really nice. You know, I'd used Paint for all those years, but with the draw program, it includes a lot. You know, more so it has the stuff an office would need for some of their diagrams and connections and things like that. But you can see that you have the ability that you can create whatever size page you want. You can start with the default letter size, but you can even customize the size you want. And then over on the left, you have all the tools that you need to make anything that you need. You can make your you know, the rectangles and the ovals. You can make the huge number of choices. You can even create call outs, or as I say, if you wanted to do cartooning, you can do you know, clouds and have text inside of here and talk. You can create all these different kinds of shapes, three-dimensional shapes. This also will open up your PDF files, because a PDF is actually a type of drawing. So LibreOffice opens up PDF files, and then you, once they're opened up in that, you can you know, edit those in here. Same pop out on the side. Here are all the properties, changing the size of the lines if you're making lines. You can go to the text, and again, there's all the different styles and formatting for what you're typing. And again, there's the good old famous gallery, so if you needed something, you've got it, and the navigation to move around. Now, you can produce a number of slides, which is the same as creating pages in a text document. So if I wanted a series of these drawings, I could save them as one project, and not just individual single ones. I don't remember that we could do that in something like Paint. Paint, I think, was all individual, one at a time. So this is a great program for creating any kind of graphics. There's even more than I could do. For those people who are in business that have, you know, boxes that have to connect, and you can got all these different kinds that mean things, where you've got a circle at one end, an arrow at the other end, two circles, two arrows, and you can show the flow of things. You also have the way you can draw different kinds of shapes, just not just lines, and change your colors, change your shape. So the drawing program is also something that is huge. And again, I'll refer back, it's free. Next, not going to save that. The math one, this is the one that I don't use, and there are probably some of you that probably say, oh, I understand all of this, but you can see how you start on the left-hand side with creating all of these different kinds of formulas and things. And you know, the boxes, as you can see, you know, very simple. You can see right here that this one is a simple adding problem, subtracting problem, dividing and multiplying. So you can do all of that. Well, just to show you some examples, this is how complex that you can get, that you can create something just like that, and then you'll be able to copy that and paste it into a document, you know, a drawing program, do it into a presentation. And so this program, for some of you, it might have some definite, but you can see how in the bottom that it shows you how it builds up a formula. So if anybody's gone past my Algebra 1 and 2, then all this stuff makes sense to you, but yeah, that's what we did. So that's the Formula 1. And oh, the other thing that I didn't mention is that one thing that comes with LibreOffice is a full-blown downloadable help file. So many times we now find that if we click on help, it sends us to the web. And I tell my students in my adult classes, I said, what happens if you're having trouble getting onto the internet? And you click a help and it says go to the internet, and that's where you can't get to. So you say whatever. So if you go to help, there is a, not just go to the internet, there is a download, and every time there's an upgrade, they have a new version of this LibreOffice help that you would download at the same time. And you can just see all the options. So general contents and all that. So another thing that comes with LibreOffice that doesn't always come with some others. Last, because I'm running out of time, I'm just going to quickly, no, say that one. The database, those who use it, I don't use a database. If I need something like this, I pretty much use a spreadsheet. But those have used it, that have used a database, you'll look right here and say, oh yeah, there it is. I've got one to start. I can create the form and stored databases either in design form or in the spreadsheet form, and then you can see that you can do all sorts of queries, and then you can make the tables. The one thing that you have to have to use this program is you've got to have the Java JRE, and I've been having trouble trying to get it installed in Windows 10. Since I don't use it, it's not a big thing for me, but I keep trying to do it, and it keeps saying there's no Java, and I keep going and getting the Java and putting it in here, and it just doesn't say it there. But the database is there, and again, in the database, you can save it in a number of different formats. The database doesn't go out into a PDF, but the reports that you make, because as you can see, here's a whole section of reports, and that's what some people like about using a database over a spreadsheet, is you take the same information, but you can create reports that really look nice on that. And we go back, and we end up back our tour back at the lobby. This is a tremendous program. It's free. I encourage you to go to LibreOffice, download either the fresh or the still, whichever you feel comfortable with, and give it a try. A lot of people are now using the online Google Docs and the Microsoft Docs, which are free if you just sign up with Google or Microsoft. But I think you'll find more features on this, and it's on your computer and you control it better.